Welcome, everybody, to TYT Sports Locked Out. Ben Mankiewicz, Rick Strom. UCLA basketball, the focus of a story in Sports Illustrated by George Dorman. It is a telling story confirming what many UCLA fans like me have thought for some time, which is something is very seriously wrong with this program. 4 straight disappointing years. Players fleeing to other schools and the NBA earlier than they should. Many of the transfers succeeding wildly there. A couple of the most recent NBA players, Tyler Honeycutt and Malcolm Lee, clearly leaving too early, but there was a sense that, hey man, I can't stay here. We can now put a name to the reason why they don't want to stay. That name was Reeves Nelson. This is a story about Howland's lack of control over the program, but the bad guy in this is clearly Reeves Nelson, who Howland finally threw off the team this last year. The stories about Nelson took him far too long after you read the horrible behavior that Nelson engaged in, including he peed on a teammate's clothes.
Prior to a New Year's Eve party that Reeves Nelson decided to organize for him and some teammates, which was a party bus, and the party bus would take them around LA. Ben Howland got word of everything that was going on, so Nelson was obviously pissed. He thought his roommate Tyler Honeycutt was the mole.
And literally pissed is what you meant to say.
Yeah, that's literally what I meant to say. And he came back one night wasted, decided to throw all of his roommate Tyler Honeycutt's clothes on his bed, pissed on his clothes, and then flipped over his mattress.
So Reeves Nelson was kicking balls into the stands after practice and telling the assistant, the team managers to go fetch. He was a bad guy. It was clear that he was a bad guy. Finally, this year, Howland threw him off the team. The nature of the article is that Howland took far too long to discipline a guy like Reeves Nelson. Also, a player now that they have, a wonderful, very talented player named Josh Smith, who is wildly overweight and clearly unmotivated at times. And Howland has not punished him. This is a kid who could make millions and millions of dollars in the NBA if properly motivated. So then there's the issue of, I mentioned Malcolm Lee and Tyler Honeycutt leaving the team after last season to go to the NBA. Clearly, before they were ready, it would appear they desperately wanted to get away from the atmosphere of UCLA basketball. Players who've transferred: Drew Gordon to New Mexico, averaging a double-double.
Yep.
Mike Moser averaging a double-double, UNLV, sixth in the country.
With Reeves Nelson during practice for setting incredibly hard screens, both of them being very competitive. They fought during practice, and they also fought at an apartment's, a teammate's apartment.
So this is now, we have two guys, Mike Moser and Matt Carlino, who was a freshman the following year, who clashed, who were horribly mistreated, who struggled a little bit as freshmen in the few moments we got to see him. Carlino didn't even get in a regular season game, I don't believe. Maybe played in an exhibition game before got a concussion. But guys who Nelson was picking on in practice, made them feel incredibly unwelcome, and eventually they left the team. They are both succeeding enormously, as is Drew Gordon at New Mexico.
Let me tell one more story, and then I really want to get your take on Ben Howland in the future. A student manager that was known for hanging out with the players and partying with the players was called into Ben Howland's office, and Howland kept asking him, who were the players, who were the ones that were partying, tell me their names. The student manager tried giving little details and refused to tell the players' names. Ben Howland kept on him, and then he finally said, tell me their names or I'm terminating you. And the student manager, according to him, told the names to Ben Howland, and Ben Howland decided to terminate him anyway and did not suspend any of the players.
Yeah, that's a terrible story if that's true. That really does not reflect well on Ben Howland. So the question then becomes,
do you think that, and I know how I feel about it, do you think Ben Howland should finish the year, or do you think he should be fired during this year, or should he be fired after the year?
He clearly finished the year. I mean, this is not a guy. The problem player has been removed from the team. The biggest problem player.
It took a while, though.
It took too long. There's no question. Ben Howland has 2 elite recruits already coming in next year. Top 5 player Kyle Anderson are all everything, 6'8", point guard, point forward, whatever you want to call him, a shooter, and Jordan Adams from Georgia. And he is, UCLA is thought to be the leader for the number 1 player in the country, Shabazz Muhammad from Las Vegas. I don't know how this article helps Shabazz Muhammad, but clearly the stories of the inside the high school basketball and college basketball world about problems at UCLA. That won't be new. The one positive to this is it does sort of put most of the blame on Reeves Nelson. But I would say for a guy who went to 3 straight Final Fours, whose basketball acumen is unquestioned, except by Drew Gordon, that this guy deserves to bring in these recruits, the 2 he's already got. Hopefully, Shabazz Muhammad, Tony Parker, another big recruit they're working on, realize, hey man, we could be part of restoring UCLA. And Dan Guerrero, the athletic director, if you read his quotes in the article, there's not much ambiguity there. He says, this is a crazy question. I need Ben Howland. So I think Ben Howland will be back. I think that he'll be given a year to restore the program.
I understand what you're saying, and I understand that this, you could call it a scandal. I mean, I think it is. It's obviously incredibly minor compared to the likes of Ohio State and Penn State. It could go up there with Ohio State. However, maybe I'm being a little too Lucas the Lib about this, but hear me out. He facilitated bullying other players and basically let one player run his entire program.
Yeah, the worst parts of the story are the notion that he allowed Reeves Nelson run Matt Carlino out of the program. But they have thrown the guy out. What I would say is I'd really say, Ben, you need to redirect things here.